Hey folks, welcome to Reading with Jett. Today we're just going to be reading the introduction to The Jewish People in America, A Time for Planting, the First Migration 1654 to 1820, Eli Faber. He is an American Jew. The book is basically what it is about the first 23 Jews to come over here. They came over here on the St. Catherine. They came here and settled in New Amsterdam, and the book spirals out and tells the history of the Jews from that perspective. So let's get to the introduction. For centuries they had prayed daily to God to gather them from the four corners of the earth and restore them to the ancient homeland from which they had been exiled. Dispersed throughout Europe, North Africa, Asia, and now the Western Hemisphere, the Jewish people yearned for the day when the ingathering of Israel, foretold by the prophets of old, would lead them back to Zion. And yet, in Charleston, South Carolina, in the year 1806, a member of the Jewish community rose to praise America and express the hope that the United States might now be the place to which the Jewish people would be gathered. Citing the freedom, civic equality, and dignity his country accorded Jews, described it as a promised land and a new Jerusalem. Meyer Moses called upon God to transport the Jewish people to America. Quote, "Collect together the long scattered people," he exclaimed, "and let their gathering place be in this land of milk and honey." Unquote. The Jews who began gathering in America in 1654, few in number, certainly no more than some 2,500 when Meyer Moses spoke, were among the first Jews in the modern world to live in a tolerant environment. Though for the most part excluded from voting and office holding during the colonial and revolutionary eras, they mingled freely with fellow Americans, conducted commercial ventures with them, intermarried in some cases, and in general encountered comparatively little in the way of anti-Semitism. In the aftermath of the American Revolution, American Jews gradually achieved civic equality by acquiring the right to vote, to serve in office, and otherwise to participate in civic affairs as fully empowered citizens. It was no wonder, then, that Meyer Moses would call upon God for an even greater gathering of Israel in the United States, or that Samson Simpson, an early Jewish graduate of Columbia College, would, in the commencement oration he delivered in 1800 in Hebrew, and this was in New York St. Paul's Chapel at that, call down God's blessing upon the people of the United States, adding, "Long live the Republic, in honor and respectability." Unquote. So too, Isaac H. Levy in 1798, during his commercial voyage from New York to Madras and Calcutta in the company of another American Jew, celebrated the 4th of July. Quote, "This being the anniversary of American independence," he explained, "we kept it as was becoming American citizen. We kept it as we were becoming American citizens." Unquote. For the Jews of early America, however, the blessings of toleration, equality, and citizenship brought in their wake important questions regarding the maintenance of Jewish tradition and Jewish distinctiveness. Given the opportunity to participate in the larger society, to what extent would American Jews be able to preserve their ethnic identity and religion? What were to be the limits, if any, of what is today referred to as acculturation? Isaac Levy resolved the problem for himself by observing not only the 4th of July during his voyage to India, but also the festival of Passover, noting that, quote, "This being the first day of Pesach, Mr. Moses and myself kept it with strictness, as much so as was possible on board a ship God send we may spend the next one in New York." Unquote. Levi and Moses and others like them were among the first Jews in the modern world to explore the blending of traditions and cultures, to experiment with voluntary acculturation, and to confront their implications for the maintenance of the group's distinctiveness. Thus, the early American Jewish experience constitutes not only a chapter in the history of Jewish ethnicity and religion in the modern world generally, but an early case study in the development of the United States as a multi-ethnic and multiracial society. The tension between loyalty to one's ethnic group and the preservation of that group's distinctiveness on the one hand, and acculturation, identification with the larger society, that would be Goys, and assimilation on the other, constitutes the underlying theme of the pages that follow. The Jews who gathered in America between 1654 and 1820, whether Sephardic or Ashkenazi, from Portugal or England, Jamaica or Holland, Cakerta or Poland, did not create a literature in which they explored the meaning of ethnicity, debated the merits of acculturation, or weighed the balance between particularism, sorry, I cannot say that word, guys, and affiliation with the greater society. By their actions, however, they demonstrated that they were quite aware of these issues, which they have been central to political discourse and social policy throughout the course of American history, and which have come to dominate much of modern Jewish life as well. Folks, yeah, that's what the book's going to get into. You know, immediately you see hypocrisy right there. Jews want to keep distinctiveness and their group cohesion, and they want to remain Jews. They don't want to become American. Frequently there you heard Faber use the term American Jews, and think about that. Jews refer to themselves as American Jews, while think about any other ethnic group. Italians say Italian Americans. The Irish say Irish Americans. The Jews say they don't say Jewish Americans. They say American Jew because they're the wandering Jew. Their true homeland is Israel, they believe, and America is just where they hang out and exploit the goy. We'll be reading more from this book. Have a good one, folks.